Welcome to the Journey Girl Magic Podcast. I am Nikita Burks-Hale, life coach and your personal journey guide. This podcast is for the wanderers, the doers, and action takers. I'm here to empower women and women of color to live their best lives by showing up, being vulnerable, practicing gratitude, being a badass, and most importantly, enjoying the ride. This imperfect podcast is for you as you live your life and become the best version of yourself. So let's journey together. Let's get started. Hey everyone, it's Nikita, and welcome to another episode of the Journey Girl Magic Podcast. Today we are here for another episode, and we are actually starting a 3-part series entitled Laying Out Your Roadmap. And the purpose of this series is to talk about your plan for the new year, your plan for your life, your plan for you. Now, on today's episode, we're going to discuss and break down the first part of the series, which will be answering the question, where are you going? Next week, we'll talk about and answer the question of why are you going there? And then the last week, we'll finish up by answering the question, how are you getting there? So, week 1, let's jump right in and get started. Knowing where you are going is the first step to getting where you want to go. This quote that I found by Ken Blanchard, I think, says it all. This journey is important, but the last thing we want to do is be wandering around for the sake of wandering for an extended period of time. Now, I am the journey coach, and I talk all about journeys, but this is journeying with a purpose, journeying with a plan, journeying with a passion. Now, don't get me wrong, a little wandering every now and then never hurt anyone, but you do need to be going towards something. And you need to know what that something is, or at least have a general idea. Not necessarily a destination, but a purpose. So what is your purpose? What is your intention? We're going to answer these through 5 questions. So, are you ready? Now, this episode is meant to be a working episode. So get comfortable, get out your computer or your favorite note taker or a journal, and be prepared to get creative. If you're listening to this while driving, then listen to the episode and then later go back through the episode and let this one be your reflection work so that you can go through all of the exercises. So, let's get started. Question number 1. Where have you been? You've heard me say it time and time again. You have to be aware of where you've been to fully know where you are going. What experiences have you had? What lessons have you learned? Knowing this is vital so that you aren't wasting time going in circles, aka doing the same thing over and over again. Our past also gives us clues to our future. What patterns do you see? What are you consistently drawn to? What things do you find yourself coming back to? I truly believe that our past is the key to our future, the way to not reintroduce things that no longer serve us, in addition to reminding us of those little truths that we tend to forget. I think Maui from Moana said it best. Knowing where you are by knowing where you've been. It's called wayfinding for a reason. And yes, you can thank Adonis for that little tidbit of truth. So, where have you been? Question number 2. What are you envisioning? When you picture your journey, what do you see? What kind of things do you see? Set a timer for maybe 10 minutes or so and write it all down. What does it look like? What are you wearing? What kind of things are you doing? What is around you? How does it feel? Let these questions paint a picture for what could be. Now, let me pause for a sec for some real talk. Most likely, only a fraction of these answers and the things that you write down will actually happen the way you envision them. Remember, we often see things through rose-colored glasses, a slighted perspective. We have to remember that our reality is not always, reality. We may see things in a certain way, but the experience may be completely different. For example, I always envisioned myself having a child, having a beautiful pregnancy and a beautiful birth, and then everything being laughter and cuteness from there. Now, I knew there would be some hard times, but they would be small and insignificant when you compare. This is what I envisioned. My reality was 3 years of battling infertility, a pretty chill pregnancy, but a scary birth that ended up with my son spending a week in the NICU. I still had a pregnancy. I still had a birth. But my expectations were not my reality. Make sense? Good. So what are you envisioning? What types of things are going through your mind? What pictures are flashing? What is getting you excited? What does it look like? What does it smell like? What can you almost reach out and touch? Be specific, because it's those little things that later on down the road you're going to look back and look down and you're going to be like, wow, that little thing, that shirt with the flowers that I don't even have in my closet, I'm now wearing. Life is funny like that, and things like that really do happen. Question number 3. What is your plan? Now, unless you are in wandering mode, you have to have some sort of plan in place. Especially if you're like me and are a perfectionist, then you have to have a plan. You have to know the beginning, the middle, and the end. Even if you're not supposed to know the end yet. You have what you believe should happen next. A leads to B, which leads to C, and so on. So now let's examine your plan. Like the title of your episode, where are you going? What is the sequence of events? Write or draw out this plan. What does it look like? Be as specific as possible. Just get it all out of your mind. Like, go wild. And then once you've done that, I want you to stop, and I want you to take out all the details. Just keep the bones so that you have room to actually journey. Because oftentimes, we plan every single thing out, and there's literally no room for growth. For me, at first, you feel accomplished. I feel accomplished that I have done, and I have everything planned out for the entire year maybe. But then I begin to feel that pressure. What's coming up next week? Oh crap, I planned that for tomorrow. Oh man, I'm supposed to be doing that launch next week. I gotta show up this week. And then I begin to feel that pressure. Like I'm being suffocated by my own expectations that I set for myself. To get everything right, to get everything in on time, to get it perfect. But remember, you and I put ourselves in that situation. We created that reality. We created that stress and that tension, all to feel accomplished. So let's take that idea of being accomplished and being always on point to being more authentic and imperfect. So create a plan, throw out the details, and get to discovering. What is your plan? Number 4, who can you learn from? Now, we'll get into this more next month when we talk about who you're traveling with on your journey, but I'm going to ask this now. Look around you. Who are you currently inspired by? Who are the people you're surrounding yourself with? Write them down. Be specific. Write their names. You can write their full names, their government names, however you want to identify them, but write them down. Why do they inspire you? Who around you can you learn from? What lessons are they showing you? From there, think about the books you're reading. What books are on your list to read? It's a new year, and many people often have this long list of books that they want to read. I've been looking on Facebook, and it seems like every 3 or 4 posts, people are asking for suggestions for books. And so as you're getting those suggestions and you're making that list, what about those books are drawing you to them? Is there a theme? Sometimes we do all of this searching, and the answers that we need are right in front of us. They're in the people who are around us. So stop searching. Pause, you may say. Look around. Be vulnerable. Get out of your own freaking head and open your eyes. Open your ears. Open your heart to the journey's already taking place around you. Okay, I'm getting a little woo-woo, but it's true. It's for real. Knowing the people around you, what you can learn from them, will push you, will make you uncomfortable. And if you look around and there aren't people who you feel like you can learn from, then it's time for you to expand your circle. It's time for you to find a new group of people, because the people around you currently, they no longer serve you. They're no longer pushing you, creating space for you to be vulnerable and to mess up and to make mistakes. You're too safe with them. And so you need to think about people who are around you who you can learn from, or if you can't, people who you need to get around that you know you can learn from. And now we have our final question. What are you all about? Now this seems pretty chill, or maybe an inquisitory, I think that's a word, question. But it's a bold one. What are you all about? What do you stand for? The definition of a manifesto is a public declaration. You are taking a stand, speaking your truth. So do just that. Stake your claim, manifest your journey, do the work, and make it what you want. Last year, I challenged myself to write a manifesto, to step into my power, and to proclaim what I stood for and what I wanted. And it has been one of the most emotional things I've done in this past year. The first thing that I did was proclaim myself as a Black woman. A bold, beautiful, badass Black woman. And with that came all sorts of feels. I had to truly own that statement and all the emotions that came with it. I had to be vulnerable and work through the shame in that statement, the anger, the embarrassment, the confusion, and the power. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't finished my manifesto. It's taken me some time because I still have some growing and journeying and being vulnerable that I need to do. But I know that in due time, I will. And when I'm done, please believe I'm going to be shouting it from the rooftops and sharing it everywhere. It's almost been like a healing process, writing this manifesto, really uncovering these deep, dark secrets or these stories that I've been telling myself, and just being real about these secret wants and feelings and these things that I want to step into and be, but feel like I'm not good enough, or I'm not strong enough, or I can't possibly be that because that's not me. That stops now, for me and for you. And so I want to encourage you to do the same. Write your manifesto. Get passionate. What do you stand for? What are you all about? What fires you up? What gets under your skin? What pisses you off? Think about it. Say it. Scream it. Live it. What are you all about? Where have you been? What have you been envisioning? What is your plan? Who can you learn from? And what are you all about? These are the 5 questions I want you to focus on. These are the 5 questions I want you to journey through. Remember, if you weren't able to do the work while listening to the episode the first time, listen again and do the work. And if you still need some more, listen again and do the work some more. I can guarantee you that you'll find value. Now, there's a lot of good stuff in this episode, and it got straight to the point, but I do hope that it resonated with you. Because after all, it's your journey, and you need to know where are you going. So, that's all for today. And until next week, happy journeying, y'all. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. I'm so appreciative and grateful for your time and your listening ear. Show notes for this episode can be found at journeygirlmagic.com/podcasts and by clicking on today's episode. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to the Journey Girl Magic podcast to be the first to know when a new episode becomes available. You can also leave a review and let me know how this podcast is helping you on your journey. I read them all. I look forward to journeying with you next week, and remember, it's your journey, so show up, be vulnerable, practice gratitude, be a badass, and most importantly, enjoy the ride. Welcome to your journey.